Welcome to Coastin With Quayz in Japan, a series where I, Mark aka Quayz, explore Japan's amusement parks to discover world-class coasters, unique Japanese parks, and ride experiences in the middle of Japan's cities. Coming up on this episode, I make my way to Nagashima Spa Land in Japan and ride what was at the time the longest roller coaster in the world. I also get on one of the best roller coasters in the world, Hakugei, and a couple of other interesting rides in the park. I noticed that the park is surprisingly dead considering it is a premier park, and I get to experience some of the most interesting operations in the world. Unfortunately, I do miss out on a couple of credits, but it's still an amazing day. So stay tuned for this Coastin With Quayz park vlog at Nagashima Spa Land in Japan. What's going on, everyone? This is Mark, aka Quayz, and today I am here, I can't believe I'm saying this, at Nagashima Spa Land in Japan. It was a little bit of a journey to get here this morning. We're staying in Nagoya, and I had to take a train to a bus, but then where my phone and all the information was telling me to get off the bus was this like weird spot where there was no access to the park. So I'm like walking all around the outskirts of this massive resort trying to figure out where to go. Finally, I make it to one of the Nagashima resort hotels, and I talked to somebody, and they actually called a hotel shuttle to bring me to the entrance, because otherwise it probably would have taken me an hour to get here. So I'm gonna get into the front gate. What I've actually done is I've bought a ticket from Family Mart beforehand so that I didn't have to try to go through the process of getting a ticket here. But I'm gonna see if I can get in, and let's see what kind of credits we can get today. All right, I entered near what I believe is the back of the park. So that's actually closer to Hakugei, the RMC here. So I might actually look into getting on Hakugei as my first ride. So let's see if we can get over to it quickly. All right, so I think I'm starting to get a lay of the land a little bit. I actually made my way over here towards the front of the park, or where the front entrance is. And Steel Dragon 2000 goes all through that, but also we have the shuttle loop right here. So I just saw the shuttle loop go by and there was like 6 people on it. I think that might actually be my first ride of the day. This park's only open until like 4:30 or 5 o'clock, so I have to try to squeeze everything in pretty quickly. It's almost 11 o'clock. All right, I just got off the Schwarzkopf shuttle loop, and these rides don't exist anymore. So the fact that this park still has one is kind of crazy, but the launch on it was pretty punchy. I sat in the very back row, left seat, so pretty forceful through that tight little loop, going forwards and backwards. Fun little ride. One thing I will say is the operations, not good, and I've heard that about Japan in general, just because they're so focused on safety. Like once I got into the station, I must have been sitting there for like 7 or 8 minutes before we finally dispatched. So if that's the case, it's going to be interesting not only getting on rides today, but getting off-ride footage, because if they're only dispatching trains every 7 to 10 minutes, like when you're filming roller coasters, you're constantly waiting around for trains, and if they're only dispatching that often, it's going to be rough, but we'll see what we can do. Onward to the next ride. All right, behind me is Corkscrew. That doesn't look like it's open right now. But then also, right here, we have this ride right here, Looping Star. And this is another Schwarzkopf ride, a looping coaster. It's a walk-on, so I'm gonna see if I can get on that as my second credit of the day. All right, there's the second credit of the day, Looping Star. Fun little ride. It actually reminded me of Laser that used to be at Dorney Park years ago. But the funniest thing about this park so far is operations. It takes forever to get loaded. And then once everyone's strapped in, they do a whole presentation with cue cards about what the ride does, how it has a drop, how it has a loop, how you have to hold on to the handlebars and everything. It's so funny. And then you finally go through the ride. Also, rides usually have a sign that say like, hey, if you're not up to good health, you probably shouldn't ride this. This ride totally does. But the funny thing about it is that the picture of it is like a man, a cartoon man flexing and a little girl crying. Wild. So that ride, I'm gonna move on to the next one because it was just okay, not trying to rewrite it. We have Arashi, which is an SNS free spin in this area, but I'm also really close to Steel Dragon. So I think I'm gonna get on Steel Dragon next and get that Giga credit. You know what? Arashi is a walk-on, so I'm gonna get on that and just get that credit for that. Also, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a theme song. Arashi. So cool. All right, if you've been on one SNS free spin, you've been on them all. Got right on Arashi, which is funny because normally, like when I go to parks in the US, the lines for SNS free spins get insane. So the fact that I just walked on that was fantastic. One thing I will say is that this park is pretty empty today. Now it's a hot day. It's like 92, 93 is the high today. But honestly, that's kind of low compared to the other days we've been here in Japan. It's been like 98, 99 most days. It is also a Thursday, so I came on a good day to be able to get on rides. I am now walking right up to the entrance of Steel Dragon 2000, so I might try to get a couple rides on that. Here we have the test seat for Steel Dragon. The interesting about this coaster is it's a Morgan Giga, but it has B&M seats on it. All right, new credit number 4 for the day, and my number 175 credit altogether, Steel Dragon 2000, the Morgan Giga Coaster. What can I say about this ride? It's pretty much Steel Force or Magnum XL 200 on steroids. A lot of the ride is exactly like those two, just bigger. Some standout moments. The first drop on a Giga. It's not as steep as a lot of the other Giga coasters, but still a lot of fun. The bottom valley after that first drop, you get a lot of positive forces. The whole twister section on the back end of the layout is really cool. It's not just like a single double helix. It's a huge helix one way, huge helix the other way. And then a really fun part of the ride are all the airtime hills at the end. Again, just like Magnum or Steel Force or a lot of other Morgan rides. Not my favorite Giga in the world. In fact, of the Gigas I've been on, It's probably my least favorite. I still like Fury and I-305 and Millennium Force and Orion better. I haven't been on Leviathan yet, but I have a feeling I'm going to like that better too. But I did get 2 rides on it, 2nd row and 6th row. A lot of fun. I'm going to get on some other rides now, but then hopefully I'll be able to get back on this. They're running 1 train ops on it, so the ops are very slow. No surprise there. With this being over 8,100 feet long, it's the longest roller coaster in the world. So having to wait for that train to go through its entire layout, get back to the station, and then go through their safety operations takes quite a bit of time, but that's okay. All right, I saw the Togo Ultra Twister over here running when I was getting off of Steel Dragon 2000. So if this is running, I'm gonna get this as my next credit. These roller coaster models are almost non-existent, and I've never been on one. So I'm hoping this is running right now so I can get this credit. Well, there's another credit on Ultra Twister, and man, was that a wild experience. You enter the car going backwards, they tilt you vertically facing up as you go up the lift, and then it's a vertical drop, a nice little airtime hill. This airtime hill right behind me, really nice little airtime hill, and then you go into the weird rotational inline twist. You come to an abrupt stop, they angle you back, and then you go backwards and do 2 more inline twists and then right into the station. Nothing like I've ever ridden before, really fun, and also really smooth. What I've noticed is that the old coasters here at Nagashima Spa Land are really smooth. So they must take really good care of them, but fun credit. I'm only gonna do 1 ride for now, but later on in the day I might have to ride this again just because it's such a unique experience. Finally, there's some other people getting on Ultra Twister. When I was getting in line and walking up the stairs, there was nobody there. So I wasn't even sure if it was open. So Nagashima Spa Land has a dueling Wild Mouse coaster. 2 separate tracks. But right now, only the left side's running. So it's TBD as to whether or not the other side will be. Based on attendance today, I'm going to say that it will not be. So it looks like I might only get 1 of these 2 credits, but we'll see. So the Wild Mouse was standard Wild Mouse fare. Those things always come to such abrupt stops throughout the ride, and I don't know how people don't break ribs on them. It's insane. I wish the other side was running because it would have been cool as you go around those curved bends if the trains looked like they were going to collide with each other, but only 1 side was running. So got the credit. I think now I'm going to make my way to Hakugei. I've been kind of just going on coasters that have been around me, but now that I'm over in this kind of like back area of the park, the only main coaster back here is Hakugei. So hopefully I can get a couple of rides on that. And that was just 2 front row rides on Hakugei. That's not going to be topped at this park, at least. That was absolutely phenomenal. It starts with a little pre-ride, little bunny hills into the main lift, and then that first drop is awesome. You get a little pre-drop and then a huge, super steep drop, great airtime on it, and then you go up into 2 incredible elements. This massive double up where you're absolutely getting thrown from your seat, and then after that, a huge wave turn, also getting thrown from your seat. The airtime on this ride is crazy. It's just like ejector, ejector, ejector. There's also some great laterals. Some of the wave turns, especially towards the end of the ride, there's a big turnaround that's like an overbanked turn, and you get some really good laterals in that. But then also going into the inversions, you get some quick lateral forces sometimes, and then those floaty inversions. So I'm gonna try to get on it again and see if I can get a little bit further back in the train. I was gonna ask if I could go back row, but they assigned you to your seat each time, and they're not even opening the restraints in some of the back seats. So we'll see if I can get a different seat, but that's easily the best ride here. Over here next to Hakugei, they have this whole shaded playground area. So that's really nice. If the thrill seekers are riding the crazy roller coaster with nasty airtime, the little ones can be over here playing. Well, there's 2 more credits, the Peter Rabbit roller coaster and then the other kids roller coaster titled Children's Coaster. 2 credits to add to the books. Neither one of them was anything crazy. They both did 2 laps though, so that was fun. Nagashima Spa Land has a very charming children's area. There's like nobody in it today. But I got one more ride on Hakugei before I make my way out of this area of the park. This time row 6, which is right in the middle. And man, the airtime's even more powerful in the middle of the car than the front. Crazy airtime. That ride is seriously top tier RMC for what I've been on. I mean, that might even be in my top 5 coasters of all time. It's so well paced. The airtime's powerful. It's so smooth. It's balanced. Like as soon as there's so much airtime, it throws in an inversion to kind of like lower the beat down on your thighs a little bit. But great, great ride. All right, so this weird looking steel coaster in the middle of the park is called Jet Coaster. And it is not open today. Now, by the looks of it, it looks like it hasn't been open in a while. So this is another credit that I won't be able to get today. So between this, the one side of Wild Mouse and Corkscrew, 3 of the 13 credits I will not be able to get. All right, so since 3 coasters are shut down today, I only have 1 more coaster to get on to get all the credits that I could get today, and that's Acrobat, the B&M flying coaster. Now, I was just recently on Flying Dinosaur at Universal Japan, and I have a feeling this one's not going to be as good as that, but let's see if we can get on and compare the 2. I stopped into the front gate gift shop here just to see what it was like, but let's check out the merch. Looks like they've got some Hakugei merch. I think that these like cylindrical whales are pretty funny. They've got these neat little coaster models in here. Here's one for Hakugei and the Ferris wheel. And then of course they also have Steel Dragon. This is, I guess, is kind of like their nano coaster type of stuff, where they have like the models of the cars and things like we have in the United States. This park has tons of Peter Rabbit stuff. There's multiple rides, all this merch. So this is kind of like how, I guess, Six Flags Cedar Fair has like the peanut stuff. They've got all kinds of snacks and things that look delicious. They even have Dragon Ball snacks. A Dragon Ball coaster would be sick. These little like keychain tags are so cool for the different roller coasters that they have. If I can find this in sticker form, I'm totally getting these. And look at that, right above it, they have the stickers. I'm getting a bunch of these. All right, I'm in the queue for Acrobat, and I'm the only person in here. It's wild to me how dead this place is. It's insane. Like, this is a premier park in Japan, and it's dead. Coaster credit 10 on the day. Acrobat, another B&M flyer here in Japan that's better than anyone that I've been on in America. Not as good as Flying Dinosaur. Flying Dinosaur was just a little bit crazier. The positives on that ride were nuts. The positives on this and the pretzel roll are crazy, but the rest of it's not quite as intense, but still a really good B&M flyer. You know, the Superman clones in America, they have that pretzel loop, and then it's just a couple of turns and that little kind of barrel roll at the end. But this had a couple of barrel rolls throughout. There's a really cool moment, or a couple cool moments, where you're flying down right by the water. Almost kind of like a near miss, so a lot of fun. This is my last credit of the day, unfortunately, but it was a pretty good one to get as my last credit. Look at this, it looks like they're having to evac Ultra Twister. Oh man, that would have been sick to be on that. Just like that, I've made it to the front gate of Nagashima Spa Land to end my day. The park closes at 5 o'clock today, but what I've noticed based on Universal Japan and this park is that last rides start going through. They start letting people queue a half hour before close, so at 4:30. So at this point, I'm gonna head on out because I have about an hour ride back to my stay in Nagoya. But what can I say about Nagashima Spa Land? It was a fun day. This park has some amazing roller coasters. I mean, Hakugei is probably a top 5 roller coaster on the planet, potentially. It's phenomenal. Steel Dragon 2000, it's a giga coaster. It's the longest coaster in the world. So that's really cool. Acrobat was a fun flying coaster. And then they have these weird coasters, like the Ultra Twister, that Togo Ultra Twister, and then also the Shuttle Loop. Those are coasters that you don't really see anymore. So it's cool to see that this park still has those. There's a bunch of stuff below that that's kind of just like filler or weird rides. It is a shame that I wasn't able to get those 3 credits, the Corkscrew, the Other Side of the Wild Mouse, and then the Jet Coaster. The only one I really care about is the Jet Coaster, just because it looks like such a weird roller coaster. Like, I've never seen anything like that. It has a splashdown effect or something on it. It would have been fun to get those credits. It would have been fun to experience that, but overall a good day. I will say, the operations at this park are so weird, and I've heard about that before. I've heard that Japanese parks are really focused on safety. So when you're in the queue, when you're getting onto the car, they go over all kinds of instructions, and that affects operations. But what I really found to be weird was that they don't cycle trains unless there's people on them. And today was a very slow day, which I found to be kind of interesting, since I kind of view this park as almost like the Cedar Point of Japan. But from a filming standpoint, it was really difficult to get footage because I stood at Acrobat at one point and literally waited like 25 minutes between two trains. That's crazy. Like, that is unheard of in the United States. So as focused as they are on safety here, I would like to see a little bit more effort put into streamlining operations. Safety is super important, but these modern coasters especially, they're designed and engineered to such a T that they're so incredibly safe. So the lengths that they go to with like putting your seatbelt on and checking the lap bar and making you check the lap bar, and like literally sometimes going through slides, almost like a PowerPoint presentation about how the roller coaster has a lift hill and a drop and a loop and stuff. Like on Hakugei, they made us stretch before the ride. It was so interesting. So overall, a fun day, an interesting experience. I'm so glad that I was able to come here. Who knows when I'll be able to come to this park again, but the fact that I was able to ride the longest roller coaster in the world today and Hakugei, I mean, that right there made this trip here so worth it. So until next time, everybody, keep on coasting.